Back dans le studio, mon Simon.
Yes.
Yes,
Nice.
I like being here. Yeah. Although I'm gonna say something about our lovely studio. We're a little far away, which is fine. But this place is either 150,000 degrees or negative 150. It is freezing in here.
There is no middle here, my
There's
friend.
no middle here. It is freezing.
It's either you're playing in the Orange Bowl or you're playing in Lambeau Field. It's one of the two. There's nothing in the middle. That's
Yeah.
it. Or for UCFL guys, game
Winnipeg?
in July or a game in
Winnipeg?
Grey Cup in November.
Yeah, or
you know?
BC. Yeah, for sure. I've got the long sleeves on. You've got the long sleeves on.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for our producer Sam here, who's. Did you hear about this? Sam's going to the Olympics. Craziness.
As an athlete.
No,
as
not
the
as an
bobsleigh.
athlete. No,
No.
but Sam does bike. Sam bikes every day, even in the winter.
I think Sam the luge.
No, I
Bobsleigh.
see him more as like Sam is more like what's that? The cross country skiing.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. But Sammy's wearing a T-shirt today. He's wearing his
Yeah.
Beatles T-shirt, and it's not a wise move in this climate, especially in this studio.
Yeah.
But there's no way of knowing ahead of
But
time.
it's fresh though. It's nice. I like it's a fresh thing. It's
The T-shirt or the air?
the air.
Oh yeah. His
yeah.
T-shirt's brutal. I'm just kidding. Anyway, we've got a busy show. Happy Thursday. This is our non-Habs show. And obviously, for now, we're focusing on NFL postseason. We've got the AFC and NFC championship games set up. Before we get into the matchups, I'm just curious. Like, there was some people that were surprised with the Sean McDermott firing. I got to tell you, Simon, I had a feeling that it was coming, and I thought when they lost, I was like, I think it's time. You know, this is the year you didn't beat Mahomes,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. You didn't have to beat Mahomes. But you know when I was like, this guy's freaking toast? When one of the reporters out in Buffalo tweeted the transcript, he's like, hey, Sean McDermott called me from the plane to tell me that the Brandon Cooks catch was clearly a catch and all that stuff. And he goes, I was in the press box. So I'm thinking to myself, I go, okay, Sean McDermott, the game's been over for 2-3 hours, 4 hours. He's getting on the team plane or he's sitting on the team plane and he's calling the beat reporter who's back in the press box in Denver to make sure that the guy knows that the Brandon Cooks play definitely was a catch and it shouldn't have been an interception. I agree with him. I think it's a catch. But that's what I knew. Like, all right, this guy's trying to spin.
Yeah.
This guy's trying to spin, and this guy's trying to blame that play on that loss. And he's hoping to get public sympathy. He's hoping to get the word out there so that it becomes harder to fire him in the end. They fired him anyway. But that's when I knew that he was in trouble. As soon as I saw that tweet, and usually in that, I covered a lot of teams for a long time. And when you get a conversation like that, it's like, hey, they'll often tell you, like, don't say that we spoke. Just, use this. Pretend like
Get the
you know
message
what you're
out.
talking about there.
Yes.
Get the message out there, but just let's emphasize. This way, obviously McDermott was okay with it all coming out. He's trying to, I think he was trying to save face. I
Well,
think
you
he
saw
was
those
trying
some
to-
stories coming out that the front office and Pagula sat down with McDermott a couple of weeks ago, and he kind of laid out, or maybe near the trade deadline, he laid out what this team needs, and that didn't go very well with the general manager and the ownership group. Now, look, I cannot come up. Well, I'm sure I can come up with a reason for him to be fired. Like, I've been listening to sports radio, just watching the NFL shows, and the win-loss record, all these things. It is his fault that they felt that was an interception, not a catch. If it's a catch, they kick a field goal, they win, story's over. It's not his fault. Josh Allen decided on the last play of the second quarter to fumble the ball back into field goal range. Like, I don't know how much of that is on the coach.
But you keep coming up short, Simon, with one of the
What are
great
you gonna do?
quarterbacks in the league. You got to change
You're
something.
going to run out the band again,
you
and
gotta
again,
change
and expend.
something.
And considering that you physically saw what happened to Baltimore the last few years, and they just kept running it out, or the Steelers, you kept just running out the same thing. He's a very good coach.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be an upgrade when they get their new coach.
No.
I don't think there's going to be an upgrade. I have no football reason to tell you why he should be fired. But you had to make a change. You had to change something, a different voice in the room, some accountability. I don't know.
Because they shook up the locker room. Like getting rid of Stephon Diggs when he was still, he was still a pretty good player at that point. It was 2 teams ago. Like, that was a bold move. Now, do I think they had the supporting cast, the playmakers, like to go toe-to-toe with a lot of these teams? No, but you have the great equalizer, which is Josh Allen, and he wasn't great. But a part of me does feel bad for Josh Allen. You know, like year after year after year, you know, you end up coming up short, and there's times where, you know, you really put your team in a perfect position to win. You had the Chiefs beyond on the ropes.
If you're going to fire McDermott, the game where he hits, was it Gabe Davis with 13 seconds left on the clock, and then they don't decide to squib it or do nothing about it, and they lose. That one, come back and say, listen, coach gave you a leap with 13 seconds left and you blew it. You got to go. Yeah. I was surprised that he survived that. But again, I just, you have to shake up the culture a little bit just to run out the same squad.
But new stadium, new coach, you know, like it's just it'll all be kind of new, even though there's, you know, there's turnover every year. But I think it was time. Nothing against Sean McDermott. It's just,
I'm surprised
I think
the general
he's gone
manager
the most.
survived. Like I saw that since the drafting of Josh Allen, he's drafted 2 Pro Bowlers. Yeah, that's not good enough, Joe.
Yeah,
2 Pro Bowlers,
sure.
Man. Like, you know, you're probably getting 7 picks a year at least.
Yeah,
and you've got nothing to show for it. You know, a Bosa acquisition, a Von Miller acquisition. Really, neither have worked out either. You know. So look,
no, they weren't great this year. Like they weren't amazing this year, but you know they went on the road, won a big game against a good Jacksonville team,
sure.
In the playoffs, and it just
I'm with
clearly
you. I
wasn't
thought that
enough.
was a catch.
I thought it was a catch too. I know Joe Burrow came out and said, "Oh, it's amazing how many people don't know what a catch is." I personally thought that was a catch.
I'm pretty certain that guy did that to Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow is screaming bloody murder. At least privately he will. So I thought that was a catch, and I thought that Devontae Adams against the Bears was a catch. Now, again, the guys like Joe Burrow with the high football IQ will be able to dissect that play a little bit more so. But look, that's the best job in football right now, the best opening in football, right?
You got the quarterback. A lot of these openings, you don't have a quarterback. You know, that's why Baltimore was so attractive, because it is attractive. You got a quarterback. Same thing with the New York Giants. You know,
even the Raiders.
Indications are the Raiders. You have a number 1 pick. It's an interesting one. I think the whole roster needs a revamping.
If John Harbaugh did not take the Giants job, I think John Harbaugh waited to see what happens. To see what happens with the Packers. And they lost to the Bears. There was a little bit of whispering and stuff like that. Does Matt LaFleur loses his job? Does somebody else lose their job? And then he realized, well, if anybody else gets fired going forward, I doubt anybody loses here. I doubt anybody else gets fired. And if he would have held out till Tuesday of this week, he might have walked right into that Buffalo job.
Yeah, I think, you know, the $20 million per year for, 5 years in New York, plus the young support. You know, I think he does, but, you know, you have a young quarterback that you can mold. It's like a young group that needs to be battle tested. I think John Harbaugh's good at that. Okay. You know, I think it was a good landing spot for him. Speaking of a new head coach, you saw Kevin Stefanski got the job in Atlanta. I don't know if you saw the Baker Mayfield tweet from today. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but Baker Mayfield quote tweeted an article that was written about Kevin Stefanski, and basically the article said that Kevin Stefanski failed with Baker Mayfield and failed with blanking on his name. Who's the Browns quarterback right now?
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
There's been many
Browns quarterbacks. Excuse me, Deshaun Watson. That was a brain fart on my part. I'm trying to get him out of my mind. And Baker Mayfield quote tweeted that and basically said, like, "Hey, coach, you know, I'm still waiting for the call. You treated me like a piece of garbage, and I'm still waiting for the call. You know, after I left, after you guys shipped me out of Cleveland." And, you know, Baker Mayfield took the Browns to the playoffs. Baker Mayfield played injured. Last year in Cleveland, he wasn't as good. He played injured, played with a serious shoulder injury. But he basically said, "Hey, coach, I'm still waiting on that call. You treated me like garbage on the way out, and it'll be nice to see you twice a year." So fighting words. Yes. Atlanta and Tampa Bay will be interesting.
That's a nice landing spot, too, for Stefanski. I know that
it all depends on Penix, right?
And also, but I also think you're better off with Kirk Cousins. Like, I think that I don't know what the, you know, but you have the weapons du jour. You are one of the 3 best running backs in football. You have a stud at the tight end position. A guy that maybe hasn't become the next big thing, but he's getting a little bit better by the year goes by. And you have a legitimate number 1 receiver. Loaded defense, specifically they're young. Their front 7 is pretty good. And I think a very winnable division.
Yeah, it's a division that this year they were under 500, right? Correct. Carolina Panthers. So anyway, I just thought that that was interesting. All right, we can get into these matchups if you want. I was nervous about picking the 49ers, just all the travel, the short week. Seahawks absolutely took it to them right off the hop. And it's funny, like we always make a big deal of, you know, certain trade deadline acquisitions and moves that are made. The one that I thought flew under the radar, and it helped that I had him on my fantasy team. I had a front row seat.
As did I.
You did?
Yes.
Rashid Shaheed, opening kickoff. I basically, that was the second game, right? So I went to the bathroom. I went to do something. I went to tend to my kid or something like that. And then I came back, and in the living room, we're at my parents' house, and in the living room, it's like, oh, the Seahawks are up. So I'm like, huh? Like, what? I thought this game was just starting. Like, yeah. And they were telling me, like, yeah, they did. Rashid Shaheed. I was like, oh, okay.
Good acquisition, right?
Really nice acquisition with the Saints.
Punt return for a touchdown
That's
against the Rams that flipped that game, right?
He had a big pass interference call that he was able to draw early in that game too.
He's a good weapon.
Very
He's a good
good
weapon to have. They distribute the ball. They're physical. They run the ball. Sam Darnold, I didn't think looked great. That oblique injury looked like it might have been an issue. Another week off for him. And that defense is as legit as any defense in football. And I also think when you look at some of these venues, you look at Denver, you look at New England, you look at wherever, Green Bay, these tough places to go and win. At the top of the list of a tough place to go and win is Seattle. So the Rams got to travel there. Like, they know that opponent very well.
Yep.
But the Seahawks were very, very impressive in their 41-6 victory. Defense was mad about something.
Yeah.
Angry individuals. Look, it's you say what you want about the Niners, right? Great work by Shanahan, but they still had Pierce, they still had Christian McCaffrey. They still had some of their offensive players, and Shanahan is not about that freakish talent they have at the wide receiver position. He's about scheming somebody open, and he couldn't even get that done. So pretty impressive victory by the Seahawks.
Yeah. So look, I think it's a super intriguing matchup. Again, I don't want to sleep on Sam Darnold again. I did it enough last week, especially with the way we talked about it last week. The season ended with Minnesota the year before in crunch time. He didn't show up. Now, he didn't have to be great in this game, but to me, again, I mean, you had a front row seat. You're wearing your Bears hat. You had a front row seat to the LA Rams. I think when they're clicking, when Devontae Adams is making plays and when Puka Nacua is making plays, they've got a little bit of a run game going with Kyron Williams as well. I mean, they're a team that's tough to stop too. They've got the experience that Seattle doesn't have. Mike McDonald that has done a phenomenal job coaching the Seahawks the last couple of years. Sean McVay has Super Bowl championship experience. He's got NFC title game experience. So I think I'm leaning Rams on this one. I know that they weren't perfect by any stretch last week, but they won a tight game in a very cold environment. It was a matchup that, things could have gotten away from them, and they did get away from them, but they were able to get it back on the rails. They were able to win, and I think that this Rams team is battle-tested, and I think that they're going to win. I think they're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that, with the Caleb Williams ball to Cole Kmet, Joey, when I forget the young man's name. I don't even know if he's a young man. The guy hit the home run for the Dodgers in the top of the ninth to tie it. Bottom of the order guy, whatever his name was. You knew the Jays were dead. Yeah. Like, you don't come back from that. The team that pulls that off is usually the other team doesn't have an answer for that, man. They're lost. They're like, what? Hey, man, we're 2 outs away from a World Series here. We're out on it, whatever it was. And the fact that they gave up that play 99 times, I'm not going to say 99 times, but enough times out of 100.
That's a good punch.
The Bears team, or that team that catches that quasi Hail Mary goes on to win in overtime. Yeah. The other team is demoralized. You brought it up before. Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills. Yeah. They got back in that game with 13 seconds. When you were watching that game, you're like, these guys are done. Yeah. There's no answer for this psychologically, right? So the fact that McVay just calmed down his squad, got him refocused, and got him back out there for that overtime shows how mentally tough they are. That is the championship pedigree. But I just
cold.
think
it was snowing. All that stuff.
Devontae Adams not a factor. Puka Nacua not a factor. Still found the way to win. But I'm done disrespecting the Seattle Seahawks.
I feel bad that I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to go experience in this round.
I think they'll figure out a way to get this one done.
On the other side,
Jason Statham?
No, it's not Jason Statham. Jarrett Stidham.
Okay.
Yeah, not the same guy.
Okay, I thought it was. I confused the two.
Look, I'll say this. Patriots defense impressive. I love the push they get from the interior of their defensive line.
Gonzalez there at the corner.
Gonzalez at the corner.
Legit as anybody.
They've turned it around. After a couple of, I think it was 4-win seasons. Mike Vrabel's come in there, done a great job. Drake May has done a great job. I think the Denver defense is great. They're gonna have to make Drake May's life a living you-know-what, because I don't know how many points they're going to get out of Jarrett Stidham, but I can say this. The Patriots' offensive line last week didn't impress me. Drake May has to protect the football better, but he got smoked a few times, and I think that's going to be the way to get it done. You're going to have to play a simple game, a lot of checkdowns, running the ball effectively. If you're Denver, you can't put it in Jarrett Stidham's hand. If you get down late early, you're toast. But I think that's the blueprint for success here, is that you're going to have to get after Drake May. You're going to have to knock him around and force him into making mistakes.
Well, look, not to take anything away from the Patriots, they're in the AFC Championship game. I didn't think they were overly convincing against the Chargers. They got a Drake May touchdown to Hunter Henry to finish the game. They didn't look great on offense for a minute. Again, defense looked good. Yeah. And last week, CJ Stroud tried everything he could.
Turnover machine.
You tried everything you could.
They both turned over the ball.
Keep Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers in that football game until CJ's defense said, okay, fine. If you're not going to win it, we'll take care of this with the pick six or the fumble for six, whatever it was. If the Texans got good, I don't know, not even great, if they would have gotten good quarterbacking, I don't know if the Patriots have an answer for that. Listen, not taking away anything from the Patriots, this is an absolutely sweet ride that they got and probably punching their ticket to the Super Bowl. But I'm not buying any of this. This is going to be a walkover and this and that. We've watched too much football, man. We watched Nick Foles roll into a Super Bowl and go toe-to-toe with Tom Brady. And
I think this is going to be a dogfight.
I think so, too. I think that the Broncos will figure out a way. Their coach is an offensive, kind of guru. He needs to game plan a way to win one football game. He can do that. Now, if you run it to death and you play defense, you punt, you kick, you do all these things. But I don't think this is in a one and done. You're at home. I don't think people are making it out to be the blowout that it's going to be. I just don't see that.
The thing is like, for New England, a lot of this season, I think most people had New England turning it around. Like, I know I did. I didn't think they were AFC title game. I wasn't sure if they had the skill position to do that. But to me, it's just now you go into AFC title game on the road, and the expectation is that you're going to go in there and win because you're going in there and you're not playing Bo Nix. You're playing Jarrett Stidham. And so I wonder how I wonder how a young team handles those expectations. Like, to go in on the road, place that's mile high, tough to win, and the expectation is you got to get it done because they have Jarrett Stidham on the other side.
This is a fail if they don't get it done.
And if I would have told you at the beginning of the season, hey, the New England Patriots going to the AFC title game, and I'm not going to tell you how the AFC title game plays out, but you would have told me, hey, man, well done, Mike Vrabel. Absolutely. Take a lap. This is great. But now if I tell you, hey, they're not going to win this game on Sunday, you're going to be like, ooh, okay. Like, the door was wide open for this team to go to the Super Bowl, and they lost to Jarrett Stidham. That's where I wonder how they're going to handle, and I think Mike Vrabel will get them ready to handle that. But it's a tough environment to win in. You're playing against the backup quarterback. The expectation is you don't put them in pen yet, but you're putting New England in pencil in the Super Bowl here. And I wonder how they deal with that.
Yeah, and you look at, lost in all this because of the Drake May fanfare, the next big thing out of New England, the quarterback has had himself a wonderful
Have you seen
season.
his wife bake? Have you seen this on social media? I told you last week. Have you watched this?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Because probably going on was my
part
life.
of the hype. It's part of the hype.
Well, what is she baking?
A bunch of stuff. She makes food. She bakes stuff.
They
ask him about it in the press conferences. Hey, what did she make this week? It's all kinds of stuff.
Cool. Patriots defense not getting enough love.
The interior of the defensive line is insane.
Yeah, and you have, like I said, you have Gonzalez, who I don't know who wants to be the number one receiver in Denver, Sutton or somebody.
Yep.
If you win that matchup and Stidham's got to go somewhere else to make plays, it becomes a little bit more difficult for him. Look, again, going on the road to win a football game, you could be 10-3, and we saw it this year when you and I were like, what? The Rams going to Carolina, and Carolina whoops the Rams. Yeah. So we've seen a lot of crazy things in a 60-minute match. But you're right about that, how the Patriots handle the expectations. I just think that franchise, that mindset, that coach who was part of the Bill Belichick program, they ain't looking ahead to the Super Bowl. I think they're programmed not to look ahead to the Super Bowl.
So what are you going with?
I got to take the Patriots here.
Really, yeah?
But I don't think it's a cakewalk.
No.
I think it's a very close football game.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Denver.
Okay.
I'll say Denver's gonna find a way.
Sean Payton. You're not.
Sean Payton is gonna get that, and we're gonna get a Denver, LA Rams, Super Bowl. Has that happened? I know they
Denver,
won
LA
close.
Rams has never happened.
They won close because they won close together because the Rams won with Kurt Warner. Was that like 2000?
St. Louis?
But I'm saying the Rams won in 2000. Denver won 97 and 98, but I don't think it ever overlapped.
No way.
It never, yeah.
No.
Denver's been in the Super Bowl recently. Seattle's been in the Super Bowl
Denver won with
recently.
Peyton Manning, that's right.
Yeah.
Rams.
Seattle's been to the Super Bowl plenty. The Rams have been to the Super Bowl, and the Patriots we don't have to talk about. So these are all organizations that have been there. Now, the people have changed and all that stuff, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm going to go with Denver and the Jarrett Stidham show. There's going to be 2 weeks to promote and break down and analyze Jarrett Stidham.
Can't wait.
15 ways till Sunday. Jarrett Stidham against Matthew Stafford.
You know, the little bit of
and I don't think it's going to be a great Super Bowl if that's what it is.
you know, I think it's been one of the most incredible football years, just from a viewing perspective. I think the playoffs have been ridiculous. It's just been too many, not good games, too many great football games.
Crazy stuff.
And it was nice, you know, in my world, it's Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels for the next few years fighting. On the AFC, I think Bo Nix and Drake May might have been something
that would have been great.
Manning and Brady.
Yeah.
They might have been the next two big teams, two good football programs. So we got to get a little bit cheated off that. But it's okay, man. We'll tune in and watch crazy things.
Tsalikis,
yes.
Enjoy the football this weekend, bud.
I will.
All right, this has been the Sports Dép Podcast with Joey Alfieri, Simon Tsalikis. You can follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Sports Dép Pod. You can find us on TikTok as well. Look at us hanging out with the young people. Yes, subscribe on YouTube as well. And you can find us if you don't want to watch it, you want to listen to the show, you can do so on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. We'll be back with more Montreal Canadiens talk tomorrow. And we're going to enjoy the football all weekend. And then we've got the Super Bowl. There's one football game left until the CFL starts in May, man. So enjoy it while it's here. 3 football games to go. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow.